My name's Maddie, and I did my presentation on Born into Brothels. So, this documentary was directed by Xana Brisky and Ross Kaufman. It follows several children that were born to prostitutes in Calcutta, India. During the documentary, they are being taught photography, and we get to see and hear their experiences through their stories as well as their photos. We learn all about their hardships as well as their hopes and dreams for the future. Critical comments. So the directors filmed this in a very unique way, in my opinion. The production value is clearly not very high. I mean, it was shot on a shoulder-mounted camera, natural lighting. There's many different background noises due to the city life. But I feel like they clearly wanted it that way. They wanted the viewers to feel like they were there with them. They also incorporated the children's own photos. When the children would take a photo with flash, they would show their pictures on screen automatically, and I thought that was pretty cool and definitely made the documentary more interesting. They also chose to do like a one-on-one interview with the children, so we really hear like their true perspective on their lives without even their parents around. But we also hear the parents' perspective, but not from a one-on-one. It's more the children are in the room. So like it's hard to say if it's truthful because they don't want to seem like a bad parent, obviously. But I still appreciated it. I think it really does add to the documentary. Um, yeah, and so the overall documentary was really good, in my opinion, and filmed very well. It was, it clearly left the impact it intended to have, at least for me. Cultural significances. During this documentary, I really questioned the culture of Calcutta. Um, for the most part, the parents seemed fine with their innocent children being around and subjected to so much sex, drugs, violence. And they obviously participated in most of this. I understand that the parents don't have any choice, but only a few seemed worried about their children's brothels. Um, the culture of these brothels is no place for children. They never have and most likely never will receive an education or any chance of making their lives better in a place like that, unless they get help from outside people, like the director Xana Brisky, who was fighting to get them an education. But sadly, these young girls are expected to follow in their parents' and their grandparents', great grandparents' footsteps and become prostitutes for a living. Also, outside of the brothels, the children are greatly looked down upon because of India's culture. I mean, they're the children of prostitutes, so in India's caste system, they will always be the bottom of society, sadly. Personal response. So overall, I actually really enjoyed this documentary. I believe it's actually my favorite this whole semester. And before watching this film, I just, expected it to be about the hardships children who were born to prostitutes face. And I was very pleasantly surprised about the photography aspect. Watching the children be so inspired by photography was very moving. I mean, their passion, their interest, it was amazing, honestly. It was clear that they wanted some sort of life outside of their prostitute parents or their pimp fathers, stuff like that. And although I've never experienced the horrible things they have, the documentary did open my eyes to the conditions these children live in. Before watching this, I had never thought of the children of prostitutes. It just never crossed my mind. But now that I have watched this, I am definitely more interested in how these kids view their parents and honestly just the world around them. At times, though, this film did make me a bit sick. Hearing Sachitra's story was heartbreaking. She's an orphan who lives with her aunt and wants her to become a prostitute, just like the rest of her family. And when she says she feels there's no way out, it really made my eyes start to water because that is honestly heartbreaking. But it also made me happy that she finds some peace with doing photography. Her story really made me take a step back, reflect on my own life, and just how grateful I am for the opportunities I have. And I for sure will look back on this documentary for the rest of my life. Reflective response. The way that children of prostitutes live in Calcutta is absolutely appalling. No children should be subjected to a life of this poverty and mistreatment. I mean, most of these girls are destined for prostitution when they're older, and the only person that seems to want to help was the director, Azana Brisky, who was teaching them, like I said before, photography and trying to get some of the children into school. She states throughout the documentary over and over again that education is probably the only hope these kids have to get out of this life that they're living. And many of the children's family don't treat them well either. The girls are forced to work all day and night cleaning and cooking to help bring in money for their families. But the good thing is that the children have each other. They seem to be, really connected with each other and really bond with each other. And even though they live in these awful conditions, they seem, for the most part, to be optimistic about the future, about photography, and that's great, and that's really inspiring, actually. Um, and luckily, these children do the best or try to do the best in their situation. And this photo is of Zana Brisky and one of her pupils in Calcutta. And yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you.